Mr. Chairman, and thank you for the witnesses for being here today. I'm pleased that the committee is holding this very important hearing as the United States finds itself facing increasingly dire threats on a number of fronts impacting our homeland security. From the Biden administration's chaotic and deadly withdrawal process in Afghanistan to the ongoing humanitarian and security crisis along our southwest border, to the unprecedented cyber threats facing our American way of life, the American people are deeply troubled by what they are seeing. These threats are, of course, all happening in the context of the COVID-19 pandemic, in which clarity from the administration related to vaccine boosters has been absent, similar to the Department of Homeland Security's mitigation of the pandemic at the southwest border, as was recently confirmed by the DHS Inspector General's office. What is most troubling to me is the overwhelming lack of accountability this administration is willing to accept. Nearly 10 months after President Biden's inauguration, the prevailing narrative coming from the administration's political class continues to be one which blames the last administration for the current administration's shortcomings. This is just tired, and it's inaccurate, and these talking points have been repeated consistently alongside scenes of Americans and Afghan allies being left under Taliban rule, and all while known terrorist operatives were inaugurated into the Taliban's cabinet on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. Let me repeat that. Known terrorist operatives were inaugurated into the Taliban's cabinet on the 20th anniversary of 9/11. That is significant. But that is not the only crisis where the Biden administration's blame game shows up. What we also hear it when officials blame the last administration for the deadly and increasingly untenable crisis along our southern border. Last month, we saw the sixth straight month of more than 170,000 encounters along the southwest border, a trend that has never been recorded before. These numbers are part of the overall 1.5 million illegal border encounters that have occurred just this fiscal year, while the recently departed border chief is on record stating that known or suspected terrorists are crossing the border at, quote, a level we have never seen before, end quote. This administration continues to avoid the American people's demand for transparency. This issue hits home for me. This year, my district in central New York has seen a very big increase in opioid-related deaths. This trend is repeated in communities across the country, proving that in 2021, every state truly is a border state. Customs and Border Protection has seized more than twice the amount of lethal fentanyl this year compared to last year, and that's just what we seized, and more than 3 times more than in 2019. We all know that for everything we interdict, more is flowing undetected into American communities as the drug cartels exploit the administration's failings. On the issue of cybersecurity, the American people are facing unprecedented threats to their livelihood, their privacy, and their overall way of life. And this year alone, we've seen a number of high-profile attacks aimed at America's critical infrastructure, leading to important conversations in Congress around the merits of incident reporting and identifying systemically important and critical infrastructure. 2 issues I would like to hear the panel's thoughts on today. Last but certainly not least is the rapidly increasing challenges facing the homeland from adversarial nation states overseas, namely China. As the Chinese Communist Party aims to undermine the United States at every turn, I see aggressive moves on Beijing's part to increase its investments in the Western Hemisphere. Threats posed by China underpin supply chain security challenges that are leading this country into new economic security oversight efforts. I recently traveled to New York City with a number of my colleagues to observe the 20th anniversary of the terrorist attacks of 9/11, and I thank the chairman once again for making that happen. As we spoke with individuals at NYPD and the FDNY, 2 things became clear. First, that our first responders and law enforcement are true heroes on the front lines of our homeland security, risking their lives every day to protect the American people. And secondly, that these same first responders are troubled by what they see. I heard many accounts concerning how troubled our frontline law enforcement is about the homeland security implications of Al-Qaeda and ISIS having a safe haven in Afghanistan once again, along with consequences in their communities stemming from the porous southern border. These threats, combined with low morale and retention caused by the shameful defund the police movement, is putting American communities at greater risk at a time when we can least afford it. Today, I hope to hear solutions rather than talking points from our panelists, who each play a truly critical role in securing the U.S. homeland. I'm grateful to each one of them for their service to this country in these trying times. And I look forward to working with them in our efforts on behalf of the American people. But make no mistake about it, it's very, very frustrating right now, especially with respect to the southern border. And I will pull no punches, and neither will my colleagues when it comes to that. And I'm looking forward to having this discussion today. And thank you, Mr. Chairman. I yield back the balance of my time.
Other members of the committee are reminded that under committee rules, opening statements may be submitted for the record.